Sean McCabe. Welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to the John A. McCabe Show, where it's all about accelerating your authority in your business or field of expertise. And I do that by helping entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed on any device, anywhere, anytime, in as little as 15 hours, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now on today's show, Anything Goes Friday, we're going to dive into the world of paid advertisements. No, we're not going to watch an episode of Mad Men based in the 1960s, but rather discuss paid advertising as it relates to today's world, the 2016-2017 version. Because of social media, anyone can run their own ads for their products or services, promote their websites, Facebook pages, events, and so much more. But the key and specialty comes into play when your ads are effective and generate you more money than you're spending on the ads. The key? Reducing your conversion costs as much as possible. If you're not exactly sure what that means, then you want to stick around for today's episode. My guest today is no stranger to the advertising world. In fact, she's worked on Facebook ad campaigns for some of the biggest names in the information and marketing specific space. I'll see if I can convince her to name drop during the episode. Not only is she smart and beautiful, but she's also very genuine, down to earth, and a very modest person. Victoria Griggs is the CEO of Straight Line Marketing, a marketing agency that helps people design and execute online marketing campaigns. One of her specialties is Facebook ads, and her done-for-you Facebook ad service has helped to support multiple seven-figure product launches, 5 international best-selling book campaigns, and an album launch resulting in national Billboard rankings, among other profitable campaigns for her clients. She believes Facebook is the best way to power your online marketing campaigns across a variety of industries if you're using it right. Now, Victoria started her business because of timing and not necessarily because she knew exactly what the focus of it would be. She did know that she was doing a lot of amazing marketing and learning a ton of online marketing strategies that she wanted to implement for customers who would actually move forward with it rather than the giant companies she had been working with in the past with all that bureaucracy that was really keeping her ideas immobile. Now, she started Straight Line Marketing, and for the first few years, she simply did whatever marketing contract work customers needed. It wasn't until she hired a business coach that she saw that by focusing on one niche, done-for-you Facebook ads, that her business really started to explode. Now make sure to listen to Victoria's amazing story about how she's gone through major transitions, how she went from dipping into her 401k to keeping her business afloat, to bringing in $250,000 in revenue in just 1 year by narrowing her services to a very specific niche, and her honest story of her biggest challenges and her struggles. So don't go away, because when I return, I'm going to be joined by today's guest, Victoria Griggs. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Today's Anything Goes Friday, and this is going to be an amazing episode to the end of the week. I'm honored to and pleased to have Miss Victoria Griggs joining me on today's show. Victoria and I travel in a lot of the same marketing circles, having attended many of the same events. Being the introvert that I am, I don't tend to network a great deal at the events, but rather connect with 2 or 3 people and build long-lasting friendships. So it took me several years before I actually met Victoria in person. And I actually still remember the very first thing I asked her, believe it or not. I even remember who I was with at the time, which is very unusual for me because I tend to not remember what happened yesterday, let alone 2 or 3 years ago. I believe it was.
By the way, this is news to me too. So, John, I had no idea.
You don't remember either, so that's okay. It's an unforgettable moment for most, I guess. But for some reason, it just stuck in my mind. And I believe it was around 2015. Victoria and I were in the same mastermind together. I had the opportunity to connect with her a little bit more during our mastermind events. It's been great watching Victoria rise to become a highly sought after Facebook marketing specialist over the past few years by helping people scale their business using Facebook ads. Now, many of her clients are in the coaching, expert, speaker space, but she's also worked with clients in other industries, including e-commerce, business-to-business software, solar, and even some drones. The one thing all our clients have in common is that they are already running sales funnels or they're ready to launch, and they want some online traffic and bottom line results for their business. Now, she helps them by setting up metrics-driven Facebook ad campaigns that convert through a done-for-you Facebook ads management service. So please give it up with likes, loves, shares, and a virtual flurry of thumbs up and heart icons across the screen for my guest today, Miss Victoria Griggs. Hey, Victoria.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing very well. So, so the event we were at, I don't remember specifically which event was.
I'm guessing it's probably Ed Rush Mastermind. That's my guess.
No, it wasn't. It was actually one of the big events, and I think there was a pool party or something was going on by a pool. It was in the evening, and I was standing there talking to Gary Weiss. You know who Gary is?
Yeah, of course.
So I was talking to Gary Weiss, and I think Gary called you over, and you guys were chatting, and I just asked you. This was when Facebook's dark posts had just started on the scene, and Gary Vaynerchuk was talking a lot about dark posts, and I asked you something about dark posts and Gary Vaynerchuk or something, or made some comment, and for whatever reason I actually remembered that specific moment in time, which I can't remember. I go with my friends on some memorable sports trips, and I can't remember who played who, but for whatever reason, I remember that specific moment in time. It was the first time that I actually met you, so for whatever reason, it's stuck in my head. I don't know why.
My goodness, well, I hope did I give a rude response or a particularly good one? I don't know.
I don't even remember your response.
Oh.
I don't remember
Okay,
your
good.
comments.
So at least maybe it wasn't a bad memory. That's good.
It wasn't a bad memory, but for some reason, I just it stuck in my mind, and I don't know why. But so Victoria, I don't know if you watched the show, but the first thing I like to do before we get too far into the interview is actually a speed round of questions. So don't worry, it's nothing that you actually have to study for. There's no test. You're not being graded, except Andy Lockwood likes to grade people's answers every once in a while.
But that doesn't surprise me. I know Andy's a character. If you're watching, I know you.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still on or not, but I did know that he came on a little bit earlier. But so we'll just skip to the 10 questions. So just quick answers. Just shout out the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
So name the book that impacted your life the most.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That's a very popular book on the show. So that ranks, I think that's number 2 behind the Bible.
Oh, wow.
So when you were a young girl, who was your celebrity crush?
This is going to date me big time. I have 2. Sean Cassidy and Eric Estrada.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't remember, Sean Cassidy of the Hardy Boys and Eric Estrada, the strapping officer in Chips.
Paunch. Officer Paunch in Chips, yeah.
Paunch.
So what's a book, podcast, or show that you're into right now?
So I have to say, one of the things that I'm a big mystery fan. And so I'm not going to go with a business answer on this because a lot of times what I like to do is just kind of tune out. And I love the shows like Elementary. And then somehow I've aged beyond my years because on PBS they have these great little cozy mysteries that I love. They're like Artful Detective and Miss Fisher. And anyway, I like trying to figure out who done it. Excellent.
I like the Elementary as well. Do you currently work with any coaches?
I do, actually. So in fact, I have, sure. Jimmy Harding is who I've been working with as a business coach, who's fantastic. Yeah. And I also actually have a wonderful coach that I've been working with on productivity. And her name is Sarah Rypecking, and she's in True Focus Coaching. And it's really been great. She really helps people be productive based on the way that you operate. So for instance, if you just can't seem to get a certain kind of thing done, she's a licensed psychologist. And so we actually look at, one of the things, quick aside, I know this is a quick question round, but one of the things I do is that I always prioritize client work. And so I'm not really working on building my business because if ever I have a few moments, I'm trying to build my clients. Right. And so the way that we got around that is she had me basically make a fake client. So I'm on my own client list, and that little tweak has made a big difference. Excellent. So things like that.
Sweet.
Like mind hacks.
Right. Are you currently involved in any masterminds?
I am. So Jimmy Harding is my mastermind person who leads that. We meet every Wednesday. And then I also have been to mastermind events that Everett runs, Everett O'Keefe and Andy, and those have been fantastic. So both of those.
Excellent. So name a person, either dead or alive, who you'd most like to meet and have dinner with.
Richard Branson, no doubt.
Excellent. And what's your favorite type of vacation, if you actually take any? Beach or adventure tour?
No question, adventure tour.
And what's the best business advice you ever received?
Actually, it is two, and I don't know if we're going to get into this in a little bit, but the two things are focusing in on either a skill set or industry or both. And then the second thing is actually a retainer billing versus project based. Those two things made a huge impact in my business.
Excellent. And the last question is a two-part question. So what do you enjoy the most? Not do you consume on a regular basis. So out of these, which is your favorite? Water, beer, or wine? And pizza, wings, or salad?
Wow. So I drink water. In fact, I have this thing of water. I'm almost like carry a bottle all day, every day. My mom at one point was worried I was diabetic. So all I was doing is drinking water. So I definitely drink water a lot. But then it's also, gosh, if I'm relaxing, love a glass of wine. Good beer will do too. So if I have to choose one, I'll choose wine. Okay. But you'll see me with a good frosty one every now and then too.
So pizza, wings, or salad? Out of those,
Pizza.
Which is your favorite?
Pizza.
Excellent. So
that must be a popular one on the show too.
It is. Pizza is very popular. So everyone give Victoria some love by hitting that like button, love button, and be sure to share this on your Facebook feed and leave your questions or comments in the comment section. So I'm just going to take a quick peek to see who's joined us. I see Andy Lockwood has joined us. Joe has joined us as well, and Joe says hello. Hey Joe, how's it going? Welcome guys to the show.
Oh.
And I just sort of set my phone back. There we go. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions, definitely type them in the Facebook comment sections. We want to try to generate some Facebook ad questions specifically for Victoria, or if you just have questions in general, just type them in the comment section. We'll do our best to get to them during the show, and if we can't answer them during the show, what we'll do is we'll answer them after the show has been completed. And if you're watching the replay of this, just tag either Victoria or myself in the question, and we'll follow up with an answer after the fact. So if you're just speaking, or if you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Victoria Griggs. She's the CEO of Straight Line Marketing, a marketing agency that helps people design and execute online marketing campaigns. Now, one of her specialties is Facebook ads, and her done-for-you Facebook ad service has helped to support multiple seven-figure product launches, 5 international best-selling book campaigns, and an album launch resulting in national Billboard rankings among her profitable campaigns for her clients. Now, she believes Facebook is the best way to power online marketing campaigns across industries if you're using it right. Now, many of her clients are in the coaching, expert, speaker space, but she's also worked with clients in other industries, including e-commerce, business-to-business software, solar, drones, and more. The one thing all of her clients have in common is they're already running sales funnels, or they're ready to launch, and they want online traffic and bottom line results for their business. Now, she helps them by setting up metric-driven Facebook ad campaigns that convert through a done-for-you Facebook ads management service. So like I said, just leave your questions or comments. We'll try to get through them throughout the show. And as always, make sure that you like, love, share this video in all your Facebook feeds and any pages that you manage. So Victoria, in all of that bio intro, can you just sort of give us the 60 to 90 second origin story of stuff that maybe I missed out on?
Sure. The quick origin story. I was in corporate marketing for a long time. So actually, I would say mainly tech companies. So I was in software, mainly B2B software here in San Francisco, where I'm based. About 4.5 years ago, I went and started my own company. And about a year and a half in, I started working with a fantastic business coach who really completely shaped the business the way it is today. Ed Rush, many of you may have heard of. He's been a guest on your show. Yeah. And at that point, I was doing a lot of things for a lot of people and not really focused. He asked me, what is it that you're doing that works the best across everyone? And this was everyone from a $100 million software company to a single author. And I thought about it, and he's, is there one thing that works the best? And I said, well, yeah, Facebook ads. And he asked, well, have you ever thought about just doing that? Gosh, no, I haven't. And from that moment forward, I really pivoted my business and have focused on that. But my background for almost 20 years is, which you probably got from the Eric Estrada reference, but for almost 20 years of being in mainly kind of product management and marketing, my background was really broader. So I ran marketing teams and have a broad brush in business case analysis and strategy and the rest. But really over the last several years, focused in my all day, every day is Facebook ads now.
Okay. Can you fill us in on sort of the transition into becoming an entrepreneur? So what happened? Why did you leave the corporate world, and how did you end up becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I had been in I was working in, again, as I mentioned, software companies. And in the software companies, I had moved from what was called product management. So I started out as a developer. I moved into product management, which is essentially gathering requirements. So we talk to the end users and ask, what do you want? I work with the developers to have it be built. I moved from that into marketing. And it was just kind of a job opportunity. And this was, I think, in maybe 2008, I would say. And marketing was kind of a new thing for me, and it was important to me to be good at my job. So I started doing a lot of self-study. And as I started doing self-study, I came across a lot of internet marketers and things that they were doing online and really exciting stuff. And what they were talking about online versus what I was doing in corporate were night and day.
Yeah.
And it was like, in corporate, they were actually saying, there would be a report published by Forrester, and flashback to 2008, Facebook hasn't been around too long. It's certainly not super popular, and other social media sites. But, Forrester would publish things like, is social media viable? Whereas I was just at a conference, and the guy sitting next to me had personally made $150,000 off of campaigns on social media that weekend.
Yeah.
And so I was just really fascinated. And I started also going to more and more of these live events and meeting more entrepreneurs, people who were doing these things for themselves. And so it kind of planted the bug. And I have to say that I probably stuck around longer than most. I kept working in corporate up until about 2012. So for about 4 years, I really struggled with it. And it came time where I left one company and went to work at another one, and the company where I was working was really large, and they're one of these companies, are a $3 billion company. They spin up projects, and they'll kind of start with 10 things and keep one, another 10 and keep one.
Yeah.
So within a year of joining this other company, I was already on my third project, and you put your heart and soul into it. And even things like, we were launching a new software, and I was like, okay, well, let's get ready for the launch. Let's do a press release. And they laughed, and they're like, our last company acquisition was a blog post. You're not going to get a press release for a product launch. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So, and then it went on. Like, well, let's do an email, let's let our customers know by sending an email. No, we only send our emails once a week, and you've got to schedule out, and you can have one paragraph. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm in charge of this product line. How am I supposed to make this successful if I can't actually market?
Yeah.
So that happened, along with them also saying, okay, well, we're going to end that project too. So now it's time to find your third role. And I was like, what if I don't find that role? And they're like, well, you could take a 6-month severance. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I want. And so strangely enough, it happened to be right around my last day with this company was April 15th. I was also getting a healthy tax return. So a 6-month severance plus a healthy tax return gave me the seed money to actually leave and get started.
Excellent. So this question is more for the people that don't know who you are. So can you talk about some of the big names or some of the people that you've worked with over the past few years? I just started laying some foundation of the types of clients that you actually work with, if you're allowed to name them, and roughly what kind of success these clients had.
Well, I don't know that I can talk about numbers. I can say I've been so fortunate and pleased to work with some of my mentors and people that I really look up to, like Ed Rush and Mike Koenigs and Pam Hendrickson and, even John Assaraf. And so I've run ads for them, and I've been so pleased to do that. I've some other folks too that are probably, in that, I would say, that same space and probably as well known, but they're a little more private.
Right.
So I'll probably not say those names. But really, it's been a range. It's been from people who are just getting started and all the way to people whose businesses are up and running and have been for a while, and just adding kind of gas to the fire.
Nice. So I got a couple of questions here from Joe. Yeah. Joe wants to know, what is the biggest misconception businesses have about Facebook?
I saw that question come in earlier, and that's a great one, Joe. Thank you for asking that. I'm going to go actually in two different ways, because I've, in the back of my mind, as I've been answering these questions, I've been debating about the answer to this one. And the first one is, of course, that Facebook, I think people still have this misconception that it's about puppies and dinner and, who you were out with, that they don't see it as a serious advertising channel. If you had asked me a year ago, hands down, I would have said that was the biggest misconception. And that still exists, but I think, Facebook ads have become so popular that I think that is lessening as an objection these days, at least in the people that I'm talking with. But the one thing that I still see, which is true to an extent, is Facebook is so easy, anyone can do it. Spend $5 and you're going to get a lot of money back. And a lot of times what people have is actually, you take results out of context. I have the screenshots that say, hey, look, we spent $3,000 on Facebook ads and the launch did $540,000. But what they don't tell you is everything else that they were doing during that time. You can't say just Facebook ads and the huge launch results.
That's right.
And make a comparison. So a lot of people who are just getting started in Facebook ads have this idea that, oh, I'm going to spend $5 on ads and I want at least $100 back. And if you think about it, you look and you're like, well, would any other thing that you were doing for your business get a 20 times return? Like, let's be realistic about the numbers and plan the campaign and put some other things around your marketing activities to help Facebook help you get those results. So I think that I would say, just to sum it up, first of all, that, not everyone is on Facebook, and that's, of course, not everyone is on Facebook, but I see that used as, my customers aren't on Facebook. I'm telling you, most people, your customers are on Facebook. Yeah. So it's that one about it not really being a serious advertising channel for my business, fill in the blank. That's number one. And then number two is that it's so easy, anyone can do it and get these massive returns because they're buying into some of the hype that people perpetuate by showing screenshots without the context of everything else.
Excellent. So I have another question from Nikki. Nikki wants to know, what is a fair budget for running Facebook likes and or links to client website ads for those who have a small or inactive list?
You know what? That's a great question. And I'm going to answer it a short way and a long way. The long way first.
Okay.
So the long way is that whatever we set out for a budget is actually based on the goal of that marketing funnel. So what we always do, I often have people come to me and say, okay, well, I want to run Facebook ads. And when I drill in and say, okay, well, let's see, what are we offering and what are the steps that it's going to take to get there? They haven't necessarily thought that through. Really, whenever we design a funnel, we start with the offer. On one side, you design it backwards. What is it that you want to sell? And then what are the steps required to get people to that stage? And only then do we look at the ads and the budget that would be relevant for that. So, and I'll give an example. A lot of my clients are doing high ticket. So if you're doing a high ticket sale for, and I would say high ticket is maybe $2,000 and above. Some of my clients are actually $20,000 and $25,000 sales. So if you're going to high ticket, you're going to have a conversation with that person. So what's the best way to build trust and have a conversation? Well, I think we've been through a number of these funnels long enough to know that there's a tried and true funnel that a lot of people use, which is, essentially it's a webinar to a strategy session to a close. And that gives you a lot of flexibility to either sell the big ticket or downsell. Now for the webinar, now we're looking at, okay, well, what are we looking at to get people to actually register for the webinar? So then it comes down to conversion rates. And conversion rates, by the way, are different based on the type of webinar page, whether it's just in time, schedule, it's available now or later. So a number of different things come in where the ultimate suggestion for an ad spend is based on a revenue model where we say, we want to make this much overall in the launch. Here's how much we're selling it for. And then work backwards and say, here's the conversion rate we expect to see at each stage. And in order to get these business results, here's the budget. Now, if I'm working with someone who really knows their business well, that's the way that I always do it, because we really want to be metrics driven and make sure we're getting business results, not just clicks or even the people signing up for the first step. If people really are just getting started and they have no idea where to begin, I like to have at least $1,000 a month in ad spend, maybe $500 if you're just testing maybe a free report or something that has a higher opt-in. But most of the time, what I'm really doing is trying to get a business result. And if you're trying to sell a $500 item and you're just getting started, you've got to find your groove. So you need more than $500 to test to sell a $500 item. Sometimes I've heard people give the number to, it's either 2 or 3 times the cost of the product you're trying to sell is a good initial test budget. I haven't quite seen that, but I think it's just something good to keep in mind.
Okay. If you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with Victoria Griggs. She's the CEO of Straight Line Marketing, a marketing agency that helps people design and execute online marketing campaigns. One of her specialties is Facebook ads and done-for-you Facebook ad services, and she's helped support multiple 7-figure product launches, 5 international best-selling book campaigns, and an album launch resulting in national Billboard rankings, among other profitable campaigns for her clients. She believes Facebook is the best way to power online marketing campaigns across industries if you're doing it right. Now, many of her clients are in the coaching, expert, speaker space, but she also works with clients in other industries, including e-commerce, business-to-business software, solar, drones, and more. And the one thing all of her clients have in common is that they're already running sales funnels, or they're ready to launch, and they want some online traffic and bottom line results for their business. Now, she helps them set up metrics-driven Facebook ad campaigns and convert them through a done-for-you Facebook ads management service. So if you have any questions, keep those questions rolling in. I'll keep asking Victoria these questions throughout the show, and if we can't get to them during the show, we'll get them answered after the show is already aired. Or if you are watching the replay, just type the question in and tag Victoria or myself, and we'll do our best to get them answered. And as always, please like, love, share this video on your Facebook feed and all other pages that you manage. So I'm just going to get a question in, Victoria, as I see there's some more questions rolling in, but I'm just going to get some questions in first.
Sure.
So what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned while you were growing your business?
The biggest lesson I learned was really from Ed Rush to start, and that was the one where I was letting you know that I really started because I left corporate marketing and didn't know what I wanted to do in my business. Which again, I wouldn't recommend that as a plan for launching your own business, but just timing wise, financially, it worked out. But the biggest thing that he asked when is there one thing you're doing? Just that one change in my business, I went from really struggling. That year in my business, I dipped into my 401k. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but that one question helped me to go from dipping into 401k to a $250,000 business within a year. And what I found is that when I say I do Facebook ads, suddenly people knew when to come to me. Having had a general marketing background, when I left and started my own company, and people are, oh, hey, you're on your own now, you do marketing. Oh, we need help with marketing, and why don't you come in? And I'd say, great. Well, where are you now? Where do you want to go? Let's put campaigns in place to get there. And then my big sales pitch at the end was, well, want some help with that? And some people needed content strategy. Some people, I was even doing conversion testing on landing pages. Some people needed ads. I was doing something all over the board for people. And my biggest challenge at the time, when I told Ed, I said two things. I really wanted to work with more heart-centric entrepreneurs, and I wanted to scale. And I just didn't have a business that could scale. So when he actually made that suggestion of really focusing, just by telling people, hey, here's what I do, and being very clear about it, it was clear for them when to bring me in, and it was clear for me when to say no. So that, I think, was the absolute biggest. And it really kicked off a chapter of a lot of growth in my business. And then I would say the next step, the next big aha that I had, and you always, we're constantly growing as business owners, but the next big aha it actually came from Jimmy Harding, my current business coach now, who asked, he looks at me and, I kind of looked at everything I was doing. He goes, why is your business so hard? And I was like, I don't know, please tell me. And one of the things he pointed out is that I was doing basically project billing. And so if they needed a webinar campaign or a product launch or a book campaign, and I would kind of base it on that, and all of my billing and projects were based on it. So what that meant is that I was constantly going out finding new clients, and my pricing was all over the board, which made it really hard. And so he suggested moving to retainer-based billing. So that's what I've done. So now when I work with anyone, we really set the stage that it's a long-term agreement. We're going to be working on a number of campaigns together, and that it is, a certain monthly fee per month, and it's 3 months to get started. So there's a 3-month window where we're going to work to, optimize campaigns, and then month to month after. What that did for me is it actually helped my business be more predictable, have more predictable, consistent revenue. But strangely enough, my clients loved it too. So actually, one of my clients, he said, well, when I kind of changed the way that I was billing, he goes, well, do you want some feedback from a client? And I thought, oh, here it comes. I thought I was about to get yelled at. And he goes, I love it. It's so much easier for me to know what to pay you and when. Because imagine from the client's perspective, they're saying, I don't know, is this a webinar campaign? Is this something else? How much is this going to be? They had no idea either. So here I was thinking that I was giving my clients choices and being a good business person and really valuing their time and budget. And who knew they were finding it hard to work with me, and I was finding it hard to keep consistent. So that, moving to retainer billing was actually the next biggest shift.
So, I think one of the important keys I got to that one, even for myself, was trying not to be everything to everybody. Try not to do it. Try not to do it all. Just being very specific. I understand niches. I understand being in a niche, but you can still, try to do everything for your clients as opposed to actually niching what it is you're doing for that niche. That makes sense.
It does. And I think Mario Brown and Taki Moore talked about this great thing. If you imagine a quadrant, and in this quadrant, you kind of look at, skills and industry. Mm-hmm. And I just love this. For me, it was a good visual. It was, you can have a specific skill and target a number of industries. Like me, I do Facebook ads across industries. You can also do basically I do marketing for real estate, a general skill and one industry. And of course, the super niche is when you do one skill to one industry. Like I run Facebook ads for real estate agents, something like that. The one thing that doesn't work is that I do everything for everybody. That combination of that quadrant doesn't work.
No, that not
any other combination will work, but that was the one that, for whatever reason, I thought was a good idea, and just stuck with it for like a year and a half before I realized it just wasn't working. And the thing is, it really took Ed and as my business coach to show me, because I couldn't see it in my own business.
No,
it really takes that outside eye.
It does. It's very hard to see what you're doing wrong in your own business. It's easy, as an advisor and a coach consultant, I can easily see what a lot of people are doing wrong or what they should be doing in their business, but I never turn the light on myself because it's much harder to do that.
Well, and I think too, I don't know if you felt this way, but I waited probably too long. Like I was almost at a desperate situation by the time I hired Ed. Yeah. And it was almost the last bit of money I had in my account to hire him at the time. And, it was, I put it off, I think, because there was a lot of shame. It was, I'm supposed to be able to help people grow their businesses, and I'm doing that. So the fact that I can't do it myself, what does that say? That must mean that I don't have skills, or that I'm kind of, I'm a fraud. I'm not the person I think I am. But I could see that I was really helping other clients. But I really took it as a sign that of my own self-worth if I couldn't fix myself. Little did I know that you can't fix yourself. You just don't see it.
No. There's a lot of self-doubt comes in when you're in that situation.
It does. And and I will say that within 45 days, I'm counting here, 12 and a half times my money back from hiring Ed within 45 days. Very and it nice. And Ed was not a cheap hire, No. and you shouldn't actually, in looking for a business coach, be looking for a cheap way out. You really want someone who's had the experience and can guide you.
Yeah, exactly. So I have another question from Joe here. Joe wants to know, do you have a favorite Facebook hack for list building and sales?
Favorite Facebook hack? So I will say that most of what I'm doing is around paid ads, and I have seen, particularly for some list building things, a really combination of organic and paid. Something that's working great right now is a video, what they call a video PPE, or page post engagement ad. And so all that is you do a post on your page that's a video, you're asking people to comment, and then you're actually either boosting that later or just going in and creating an ad based on that post, which is different from boosting. But with that, here's the thing that I'm just starting to play around with it now, but I think it has a lot of potential. Facebook over the last several weeks has really been releasing a lot with Messenger and even Messenger bots. And, I have a particular company that I work with where almost all of their leads, and by the way, just to set the stage, they came in telling me that their lead cost that they hope to get is $100 per lead. They're selling a $20,000 item, and $100 per lead is what they would expect to spend in their business. Well, we have now $26 leads through using these page post engagements and also leveraging the comments, Facebook Messenger. It's so easy for people to go in and type. Now, they had someone at their office going and actually responding to the people, but one of the things they're going to be trying now is a Facebook bot, where we can automate some of that interaction so they don't necessarily have to rely on the person in the office, but they're still getting that natural flow of getting people to reach out by Facebook. So I think a really good thing to do is video works great, I will say, and maybe we can talk about this in a little bit, but video ads don't always work as well as you think they do for your business goal. But video ads combined with comments and Facebook Messenger is a great way to list build.
So in talking about the list building, before I cut to the intro again, so I understand the component about engagement. You post the ad, or not the ad, but you do the video on your page. Maybe you boost it, and you're looking for engagement. You ask them to comment on the post or whatever. So I understand the engagement piece. So how are you converting that to somebody opting into your list?
Great question. So I'm using this technique with two very different industries right now. And in one of them is e-com. Now in one of them, the e-com, a lot of people just have questions. So with that, we go back and forth, just answering their questions about the product underneath the video. And then within that conversation, we're always giving links back over to the website. What we also do is if and when, because we don't want to be a discount shop, but if and when it makes sense, we follow back up with that person outside of that thread through a private message saying, hey, thanks so much for checking us out. Here's a 10% coupon or something like that.
Okay.
So we're actually using that combination of Messenger in the background. So that's one industry. The other industry is actually a local business that I'm working with. And what they're saying is, hey, leave us a comment below or give us a private message if you want to quote. And so these are people who actually need to be on the phone with someone to give a big financial quote. And what people do is actually reply in their Facebook Messenger. And that's the person I was talking about. They have someone in the office and someone says, hey, I'm interested. And they go, great. What's the best time and day to reach you? And they've already started a conversation. So we find that, it's a better engagement model and qualification than sending someone through a straight funnel.
Right. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
If you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with Victoria Griggs. She's the CEO of Straight Line Marketing, a marketing agency that helps people design and execute online marketing campaigns. Now, one of her specialties is Facebook ads, and her done-for-you Facebook ad service has helped to support multiple seven-figure product launches, 5 international best-selling book campaigns, and an album launch resulting in national Billboard rankings, among other profitable campaigns for our clients. Now, she believes Facebook is the best way to power online marketing campaigns across industries if you're using it right. Now, many of our clients are in the coaching, expert, speaker space, but she's also worked with clients in other industries, including e-commerce, business-to-business software, solar, drones, and more. The one thing that all of her clients have in common is that they're already running sales funnels or they're ready to launch, and they want online traffic and bottom-line results for their business. Now, she helps them by setting up metrics-driven Facebook ad campaigns that convert through a done-for-you Facebook ads management service. So if you have any questions, keep them rolling in. We'll get your questions answered throughout the show, and if we don't get to them during the show, we'll answer them after the show has already been aired. If you're watching this on the replay, just type them in and tag either Victoria or myself, and we'll get back to you and answer the questions that you may have. As always, please like, love, and share this feed on your Facebook page as well as any pages that you manage. And I just want to welcome Ryan Grant to the show. Thanks for everyone for joining us. And so, Victoria, what are some of maybe the top 3 things in order? I like to have an order that someone should consider before they start Facebook ads, and why. So this is the first thing you need to consider, the second thing, and the third thing.
Yeah. Okay, very good question. And the very first thing, we touched on it a little bit before. And by the way, I just wanted to go back to Nikki's comment or Nikki's question before I answer this, because they are related. And Nikki, by the way, one of my favorite people. Hello, thank you for joining and thank you for commenting. So when you asked about, I think I skipped over your question about what's a fair budget for running Facebook likes and links to a client website.
Yes.
On a like campaign is where I skipped over. So let me just answer that real quick, and then I'll go back to. So on a like campaign, it really depends on the industry. I like to see $1 or less per like. In certain industries, I'm looking for 10 cents or less. I worked with a juicing company, and their page likes were like 3 and 4 cents. I'm working with a church, but kind of a large mega church. Our likes are about 10 cents. And, but for something that's more local, so we have some campaigns that are running that are a kind of local campaigns for that church. We've got kind of the national campaign, we're getting about 10 cent likes. The local campaign, it might be 85 cents to $1. And that's just because you have a smaller, more specialized group, so you kind of pay more than broad-based marketing. But those are some general things in terms of likes. And the other way, just to ads for a kind of what are you going to need to do for ad spend, ties into these 3 things you just asked me about.
Okay.
The top 3 things I do with any client before we get started is first of all, we talk about the offer. And so usually they already have it, but we look at what the offer is, and that's really going to gauge what that funnel looks like. Now, most of the time, as I mentioned, they already have it in place. But the next thing is actually to think about that funnel in terms of ads. So we talked about the offer, number one. Number two is the funnel. For the funnel, I start out and I create, just flow it out, flow chart, boxes and arrows.
Okay.
And then I also, from there, create a revenue model. And the revenue model is based on, at each step in the process where we have people going, say, from one page to another, you're never getting 100%. It's never 100% of the people going from one step to the next. So we need to set some key performance indicators or KPIs and say, okay, on our webinar registration page, we expect a 25% conversion. For people showing up live, we expect it to be a 30%. If conversion out of the webinar, if you're doing a strategy session close, maybe it's 15 to 20%. If you're doing a cold sale to $1,000 product, it's probably more like 1 to 5%, likely around 3%. So we can start with some industry averages to get kind of, just set the baseline. And we look at the revenue model on paper. So I never start any ads until we show that if we meet these key performance indicators, which aren't crazy, they should be realistic, that this campaign is going to be profitable. So I don't just start jumping in and spending money. We actually do planning ahead of time. And there's a business strategy piece. So we do the offer, the funnel, and then the revenue model, and then very important, we put tracking in place. So I put tracking on every page of the funnel so we can track those things about, okay, we had this many people on this page for this cost per visitor, this many converted to the next page. All of those metrics are absolutely critical for optimizing the campaigns, so you don't want to start ads without them. So interestingly enough, the top 3 things to get started in Facebook ads that I walk through with all of my clients don't actually have anything to do with the ads just yet. It's all the prep work leading into running the ads.
So are the KPIs that you're using, are they different for every industry, every business, or you just have some standards?
Well, there are some standards, but they do vary by industry. But a lot of times what will vary by industry is the cost, not necessarily the conversion rates. Okay. Conversion rates, while yes, they can vary by industry, I find that they're much more related to the type of funnel that we're running. And I'll give you an example. If we're doing a free report funnel, it's not unusual to have a free report page that converts at 40% or higher. And so typically what we're looking for is maybe 35 to 40%. If we're at 30%, I'm not loving the free report conversion rate. If we're at 25%, I'm really worried. Mm-hmm. If it's a webinar registration page, people are asking, you're asking them to give an hour of their time. It's a lot more of a commitment. Usually webinar registration pages are at about 25%. Okay. So if you get a 30% conversion rate on a webinar registration page, you're through the roof. Let me give you one other example, which not many people think about, but there are all different types of webinars you can do. And so there's the type of webinar where it's only a future date. Then there's a type of webinar that says, we enter the world of automated webinars. Yeah. One that says, hey, watch yesterday's replay now, or sign up for these future dates. And then there's the type that basically says, oh, you're just in time. The next one starts in an hour or 15 minutes or whatever it is. Interestingly, all of those have different type of rates that we would expect to see people showing up. So the just in time, where it's starting within an hour, we can see 50 to 80% as a show up rate, whereas a live event that's scheduled in the future is about a 30%. Wow. So it really depends on the type of funnel, more so than the industry. But of course, those are the conversion rates. The click and engagement on industries is higher. So as I mentioned, the juicing company I was working with, we were actually getting leads for well under $1. Whereas someone in the financial services space, a lead might be even $6 or $7. And one last thing, a webinar lead, you're looking at anywhere, typically, depending on the industry, $10 to $15 for a webinar lead. We try to get at $8. We try to even get at $5. I've got a client we're working with right now. We're getting $5 webinar leads. Another one where we actually get under $2 webinar leads. But it really depends. That's an industry thing. But typically, you're looking around $10 for a webinar registration. And then for a free report, usually in a business space, it's about $5 a lead, but the more business to consumer it is, the lower that is. So you could also, like a free report in a lower, more of a mass market industry, you may be getting leads for $1 or $2.
Okay, so the next question actually ties into all the stuff that you just talked about. What are and I think you talked about this earlier in an earlier question about what you're sort of sampling right now or trying right now. What is the most effective type of Facebook ad right now? Is it video or taking them to a blog article or a webinar? or is it really industry specific or individual specific?
I would say that it is kind of industry or to some extent, yes. But I'll tell you what, I think one of the things that's most surprising is if I'm running a video ad. Like a lot of people ask me to look at campaigns and say, "Hey, I'm just not getting the results I'm looking for," and so Facebook quote doesn't work. My marketing doesn't work, and that to me is. I love Excel and I love business case analysis. Yeah. So to me, that's just a killer. When someone says it doesn't work, I'm thinking, well, what doesn't work? There are like 15 things that are going on. So let's dive in and figure out what it is that doesn't work. And a lot of times what I find is a couple things. One is like that sort of as an ad type, video gets really fantastic engagement. It doesn't always translate to business results. So from the ads manager, you may look and go, this ad is killing it. But if you haven't mapped out and tracked every page in your funnel, you don't really see that you might be getting a lot of engagement, but not a lot of sales. So video ads I find are really good just to drive engagement. Sometimes they can be fantastic for your business. Other times, though, and I would even say across the board, what keeps working really well is the straight picture to website, a website conversion ad using a straight picture. But if I'm testing video, I'll always test a picture alongside of it. And a lot of times, video will win at the first part of the funnel, but when we look at the return on investment, the actual image picture is getting us farther.
Okay.
I don't know why. And one of the things to keep in mind as well, I just thought of this myself, when people talk about they ask me to kind of look at their campaign. I think one of the challenges that people have is that Facebook is constantly adding things, and I'm surprised on a weekly basis. And I'm in there all day, every day, and I'll look and find something. I'm like, oh, that button's new. Wonder what that's about, and I'll try it. But I looked at someone's campaign, and they had set the pixels up right. They had done everything, and they couldn't figure out why it wasn't tracking results. Well, I looked and I was like, oh, okay, it's this button. They just didn't know to look for it. There's one button at the very bottom when you create an ad that actually lets you choose, don't track my pixel results.
Yeah. I've seen
I don't know
one.
who would choose. But they had that set. So they spent hundreds of dollars over the course of a week thinking that it was a pixel installation issue when it was just one radio button could have made all the difference. So Facebook has grown so much. They have so many great things to test and try that if you're not in there all the time, sometimes it can get confusing.
Yeah, it can be a little bit overwhelming at times. If you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with Victoria Griggs. She's CEO of Straight Line Marketing, a marketing agency that helps people design and execute online marketing campaigns. Now, one of her specialties is Facebook ads and done-for-you Facebook ad services. And she's helped support multiple seven-figure product launches, 5 international best-selling book campaigns, and an album launch, resulting in national Billboard rankings, among other profitable campaigns for her clients. Now, she believes Facebook is the best way to power online marketing campaigns across industries if you're using it right. Now, many of her clients are in the coaching, expert, speaker space, but she's also works with clients in other industries, including e-commerce, business-to-business software, solar, drones, and more. The one thing all of her clients have in common is that they are already running sales funnels or they're about to launch, and they want online traffic and bottom-line results for their business. Now, she helps them by setting up metrics-driven Facebook ad campaigns that convert through a done-for-you Facebook ads management service. So please type in any questions that you want me to ask. Yeah, so multiple. Please type in any questions that you want me to ask her, and we'll try to get those throughout the show. And if we can't, just tag one of us in the question, and we'll answer it after the show, or if you're watching this on replay. And as always, please like, love, and share this on your Facebook feed, as well as any pages that you manage. And I just want to welcome Lee Waters and Connie Rogers to the show. Hey. Welcome for joining us. And so, Victoria, I have some other questions here, but you know what? I think I'm actually going to be selfish on this show.
Sure.
Which I never ask any of my guests for anything, but I'm actually going to ask you for specifics for this show page.
Yeah.
So I've not done any promotion of the actual page itself. I run the show Monday to Friday. I've done nothing to promote this page other than, as you noticed for the show, I would post it on the page. I would share it on my personal page, and I would try to get the guests to share it as well. So how is it, or what strategy could I use right now to get more people to like my show page so I can expand my audience? Because I'm reaching out to people that actually have followings and bringing them on the show. But people, and you hear me, I'm constantly asking to like, love, share this, but people aren't liking the show page. So what strategies could I look at in increasing the number of likes I get for the actual show page?
So two things come to mind. One is I don't recommend this for everyone, but if you are building a brand and really looking at long-term marketing, I would definitely suggest a like campaign. I know there are people who are kind of pros and cons, and some people are really adamant about never paying for Facebook likes. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you that if you're building a brand, like if I'm doing someone who's just doing a short product launch, I'm not going to suggest a like campaign. But for you, and given what you're doing, I would still suggest that always in the heartbeat is kind of a heartbeat in the background. You're running even a low dollar like campaign to keep driving awareness to the page, and that's just kind of almost ground cover. Okay. And so for that's happening in the background. For each of these show pieces, I can think of a few things actually both before and after the show. So before the show, one of the things that we used to do in corporate, and you may or may not already be doing this, but is actually helping people, making it easy to share by pre-scripting a couple of blurbs. So all they have to do is copy and paste a tweet, a Facebook post, something like this. So in addition to sharing the page, you're helping to kind of promote it ahead of time and say what's coming. And so if you actually send someone and are very explicit and say, hey, on the week leading up to your show or the 3 days before your show, here's a step-by-step what we want you to do. And, paste this Facebook post, copy paste this Facebook post on Tuesday, and on this one, tweet this on Wednesday, or whatever it is. Yeah. Be very explicit and pre-write the text, because some people, it sounds strange, won't share just because they don't know what to write around the sharing or something. Take that out. Take that out. Now, the other thing I would say is, and this is in the pre, so what do you do leading up to it? Leading up to it, the other thing that you can do is to now, this is something that comes from a good friend, Jessica Brace, who's fantastic at Facebook Live, but she's been seeing a lot of good results using Facebook Mentions, and it's the Mentions app. And the Mentions app at some point was, from what I understand, was only available to big accounts and celebrities, and now it's available to pretty much everyone. And they've seen some really good ways to boost exposure using that. I haven't used it personally, so just as a caveat, but she is someone who's in my mastermind and was sharing her success, so I wanted to pass that on to you. And this is in kind of leading up to it. The other thing that I would say is to, and really looking at more at the overall business results, during the show and afterwards, looking at syndication. So taking the Facebook Live, and I think you're already doing a lot of this, but syndicating it to other channels and other placements using integrated marketing. Also in the show notes and even here, actually adding something where they can have a link and subscribe so that they're on a notification list to get emails. And so this would be basically a landing page. So running some ads, or even in the show notes, or as you talk, even during the podcast, saying, and don't forget to go over here. Yeah. So a really great show to model for this is Joe Polish's I Love Marketing. They get a whole lot of people to actually subscribe to email subscribers from their podcast. They do a great job of kind of moving people over. And so that's what I would say here is, in addition to building your show page, really looking at building your list as a result of it as well. So what are the hooks and ways that you can do that? I did a podcast launch with John Cody, and I've actually, helped other people with podcasts and increase listenership. And some of the things that we would do is like send people with Facebook ads to a landing page where they could opt in to hear an episode. So we capture their email and then take them to a place where they can subscribe. So we were thinking about what are ways that we can get them on our list, and then of course thereby kind of go and increase the engagement with your page, because you're engaging with them in other channels. Right. So some things that we can do is pre-scripting some social media things that they can do using the Facebook Mentions app. During is things like incorporating hooks to email signups, and also telling people during this, not only because you say like, love, or share, is it like, love, or share this podcast or the page? Be very explicit what you want people to do. And then also afterwards, we talked about the syndication and continuing to use this as a subscriber page, kind of a sandwich page in between, getting people to opt in, because you have these amazing guests and amazing content that people can really benefit from. And then, of course, underneath this is just that heartbeat of a like campaign as well. So you're saying that get them to opt in
So within the Facebook page itself, build an opt-in for them to
No,
watch?
just linking to a landing page.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all of the post stuff is all going to be in the works. The pre stuff, as you know, I already do a lot of pre stuff, but that other pre stuff is time is always an issue. I'm not making excuses, but it's a matter of the time. So,
well, I have to say, and I've told you this directly, and I want everyone else to, you do just an amazing job of onboarding, and sending prep document and script and questions. You've put so much effort. It is a fine oiled machine that you've got going right now. So everything that I just suggested are minor tweaks, and some of those you may be doing anyway, but just off the top of my head, that's what came to mind.
Yeah, and there's a lot going to happen sort of post-show as soon as this season is done, which will be the end of November. That's when I get into really promoting the show, promoting clips, promoting through social, and promoting to the website where all of the content will be stored, as well as YouTube. All the content is still on my Facebook page. I'm going back and forth about taking old episodes off the Facebook page and driving them to the actual website where there'll be offers for them to get stuff to opt in, and using those strategies to get them to opt in. So, but thanks for the advice. Like I said, I don't usually ask for anything from my clients, from me personally, but I know it's not. It was just.
No, well, you know what? I think that same question is one that a lot of people ask. So, thank you for asking it. Hopefully there were a few nuggets in there.
And see, Nobby just woke up. He said, "Good morning."
Hey, Nobby. Good to see you.
And Nobby, you're just in time because I'm closing the show. So, Victoria, I want to thank you very much for being on the show and sharing with you all of your information, all of your insight in Facebook ads. Everyone show Victoria some love by hitting that like button, love button, and be sure to share this video, as well as share the Facebook page and like the Facebook page. If you haven't done so already, please go to the Facebook page and like it. And again, I just want to thank you for all your time. I know you're very busy, but definitely looking forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks down in San Diego.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me on. It has truly been an honor. And thanks everyone for spending your time to listen in. Hopefully you got some tips you can use.
All right.
Thanks so much.
And everyone just stick with me. I'll be back in just a sec for closing remarks. Well, thanks for joining me on today's John A. McCabe Show, where we work with entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. Now, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, if you're someone who's looking to take your business to the next level and want to get some coaching advice, why not apply to be a guest on today's show? Now, for most entrepreneurs, we want to create a life of our own, create our own path, and do what we can to reach our own desired outcome, which is generally freedom. Freedom to choose what we want to do, when we want to do it, and with whom we want to do it. A life that's full of options and choices, where we worry less about money and more about the quality of time that we spend with others. Now, a great way to make that happen is to leverage other people's knowledge, time, and skill sets. Step one to reaching our freedom life is to realize that you can't do it alone. Working with a coach or being involved in masterminds is a great way for entrepreneurs to move their business forward. Now, a coach can help you shorten the time frame to get you from where you are to where you want to be, while being part of a mastermind is meant to bring entrepreneurs together, all with the goal of helping each other move forward with their business. Now, the second step to creating the life you envision for yourself as an entrepreneur is to implement systems into your business so you can streamline your operations, leverage systems, and free up your time to focus on your family, having fun, and the highest leverage activities in your business. You know, the activities that get you the biggest return on your time invested, the ones that truly make you money. Now, sometimes we just don't know what systems we need, how to implement those systems, or even have the time to find out what is needed. Now, working with a coach or consultant that understands, uses, and specializes in systems that can streamline your operations can help save you time, aggravation, and make you a lot more money. Now, for example, having a system or strategy that allows you to leverage just 15 hours of your time into enough repurposed content to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device is a great example of leverage. Now, just imagine a system where you invest just 15 hours of your time. And the end result is you're a #1 best-selling author. You have enough content that's going to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. You have a successful podcast. Now it's automatically attracting more attention, giving more value, and generating more leads, which enables you to attract an abundance of paying customers. Now this is also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now to find out more about the Authority Acceleration Blueprint coaching program or mastermind, then contact me via my website at johnamccabe.com or connect with me through my show's Facebook page. Now again, thank you for joining us on today's show, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show when I have another great guest on discussing their business and accelerating their authority. So have yourself an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.